Welcome back. Wits University is set to play host to the Young African Entrepreneurs Institute Youth Entrepreneurship Week. The week is a culmination of a year-long entrepreneurship program aimed at developing, supporting and celebrating young entrepreneurs across South Africa. And for more on this, we're now joined in studio with the now CEO of the Young African Entrepreneurs Institute, Risuna Maluleke. Risuna, thank you so much for your time and for coming in studio to have more discussions on this conversation. Now, you alongside Wits University will be holding Entrepreneurship Week. Yeah. Tell us more about this initiative.
Good evening, Bali, and greetings to your viewers at home. And thank you for having us here today. And yes, we are going to be having the Youth Entrepreneurship Week scheduled for the 28th to the 30th of this month. The Youth Entrepreneurship Week basically is about celebrating youth entrepreneurship with various activities, and it is aligned to the Global Entrepreneurship Week, which was basically last week where we celebrated Global Entrepreneurship Week. But we set this week aside to say, how do we recognize young people in South Africa who are doing incredible work and so on. So the week is basically going to start with what we call the Youth Innovation Challenge Finals. So we went across the country, harnessing innovation from young people from different provinces, where we're looking at solutions that are geared towards, social innovation, where we're looking at different solutions like that are resolving issues, in energy, resolving issues, in different platforms. And then after that particular Youth Innovation Challenge Finals, we're then going to move on to what we call the EA times ABSA Enterprise Development, Youth Enterprise Development Symposium. This particular symposium, what we're looking at is bringing different experts, in different subject matters, looking mostly at financial inclusion as the central, focal point of the work that we're doing. And what we're going to be having is then the different CEOs that come from different, organizations. We've partnered with different organizations, such as your CETAs, your WR CETA, we have your FPNM CETAs, your food, your what we call the CETA. So we have, the different CETAs that are partnering with us for this particular work. So now what we're going to be doing there is to ensure that they have engagement on how are they supporting, these young people. We have, institutions such as SEDFA who are going to be looking at access to funding. I'm sure you're aware now that there's a merge between the Small Enterprise Finance Agency and the Small Enterprise Development Agency. So what we want to be doing there is to ensure that young people have access to information through this particular symposium in partnership with ABSA. And then the last day is then going to be focusing on a market which is then going to be showcasing these, products that are owned by young people, which we call the Proudly African Youth, Market First. So in essence, the work that we're trying to do is to ensure that there is presence, there's visibility in youth entrepreneurship in our country. And the organizations that we have partnered with, as I've said, some of them are making remarkable, and groundbreaking progress in supporting young people. For example, the FPNM CETA has reported now with more than 4,000, programs that have been doing learnerships or, different skills programs. They have supported more than 80% of those people that are participating are young people. Then it's a matter of how do we create a platform where these young people come together to network, best practice, and showcase the different innovations that they have in that regard.
How many young people will form part of this initiative, and how were they selected?
We have about 1,500 young people, but of those 1,500 people, we have about 300 that are coming from across the country. And how were they selected? We had what we call the EA times ABSA Youth Entrepreneurship Programme, which is a year-long program. And through this particular program, we had what we call the Youth Entrepreneurship Tour. So this particular tour allows us then to travel across the country, and engage with different young people. So from each and every province, we're selecting about 30 young people into a skills program. So this skills program had about 300 young people participating from across, the country in the different provinces. So we selected these young people, then they're going to be coming up to Gauteng, to be able to engage with other young people from the different provinces. Because when we speak about access to markets, for example, is that you cannot speak about access to markets for someone who's in Limpopo when they've never interacted, with someone who's on the other side, maybe from the Northern Cape. But also just to get to you have young people understand that it's not about going on a journey alone, it's about collaborating and being able to do the work together. So that's how we got to get to this particular number of 300 coming from the different parts. And when we had that EA times UPSA Youth Entrepreneurship Skills Program, then we're able to support them and train them, upskill them in topics that are related to business, from entrepreneurial mindset, going into entrepreneurial, resourcing, and then we then also looked at sustainable enterprise development practices. And then now when we have these young people, they are going to be joined by other young people who in actual fact were not maybe fortunate to be part of this particular skills program that we selected, these young people for. So they are going to also leverage on the opportunity to say, when there are those engagements around access to funding, engagements on investment in skills, and also the information hub that exists within that particular week, where they can be able to now engage in real time. If you're speaking about, financial inclusion, you have to speak about, it goes beyond having access to funds. Are they banked? Are they underbanked? They're able to then engage bankers in real time.
Yeah.
If they're looking for skills, they're able to engage people who are having, access to skills. And institutions such as SEDFA, they're then able to engage them on access, to grants and so on. So that's the kind of environment we're trying to create about this Youth Entrepreneurship Week in partnership with APSA.
You talk a lot about networking.
Yeah.
And through this program, how will these young people be skilled? And from here onwards, how will they get to benefit from this program?
Yes. So part of the week, as I've mentioned, we then have also what we call the Emerging 30 Innovators Gala Dinner. So from the Youth Innovation Challenge, we're not just going to have young people coming through to pitch, their business ideas. We have a 12-month, enterprise development program where we take some of these young people into about 30 of them who are from the Youth Innovation Challenge. But not only do we do that, because in the Institute, what we also have is that we have an advisory services wing, where now we offer advisory services, to young people. Because what we have realized is that among other gaps, in building sustainable ventures in our country, it's a lack of access to advisory, mentorship and coaching services. So we have established that particular wing, in our business units to say that if young people want to know about a specific, support service, how then do they get to engage with us, and how then do we get to redirect them where we have to redirect them, and how do we ensure that we support them where we can be able to support them. So that's the kind of work that we're going to be doing. So we don't host events. We run programs that seek to support young people from the time that they get to join us and then to the time that they get to complete, the different programs that we actually do with them.
How many young people have benefited so far from these programs you've run?
So we have over the years engaged with more than 6,000 young people from across the country, because our focus is not only in getting people to start businesses. So we are about, in actual fact, developing an entrepreneurial society which is driven by ecosystem players. That means that you have to activate from the beginning. We speak about entrepreneurial intent. How do we get young people to start thinking entrepreneurship? How do we get young people to start seeing opportunities in the problems that exist in their communities? But for others who get to go and work in Bali, they are able to then also offer much more value in terms of the different workplaces that they are going to. So we have run the programs, and we have also targeted students. For example, at Wits, we have what we call SEED, which is the Student Entrepreneurship Education and Development Program, which year on year we're able to then recruit students, and we'll be spreading this particular program into different institutions. So we have more than 6,000 who have benefited from our program, and we are looking actually into doing more as we continue with these different partnerships that we are embarking on.
Risuna, thank you so much for your time, and good luck for your Entrepreneurship Week.
Thank you so much, Mbali, and have a good night.
All right, that is Risuna Maluleke there, the CEO of the Young African Entrepreneurship Institute, talking to us there about this initiative that they will be running during Entrepreneurship Week from the 28th of November.